Today, I have a wonderful guest for you who I actually met in a cab. So don't be afraid to get into cabs with strangers because they can lead to amazing friendships and business opportunities. You may not have heard of my guest, but I bet you have heard of something that he had his hand in to make a success. Most people that are plant-based or vegan have at least, if not have attended one year, the fantastic Holistic Holiday at Sea vegan cruise that's hosted by Sandy Pukel. But you might not know that Sandy Pukel had a partner in this named John and Jan Belleme, who happen to be the parents of my guest, Justin Belleme. Well, it wasn't until he got involved that the cruise really became the success that it is today. This guy, whatever he touches turns to gold. He's a young whippersnapper, and I'm proud to tell you that I know him now and I work with him, and he's just amazing. And he's going to talk a little bit about business and a little bit about his history being raised actually macrobiotic, and he's going to tell you about something that's a virtual cruise. So for those that can't go on the Holistic Holiday at Sea, and especially this year, nobody's really cruising right now, you're going to be able to experience the vegan cruise absolutely free. Please welcome Justin Belleme.
Thank you, Chef AJ. I appreciate that very kind introduction.
Yeah,
I was actually involved with the vegan cruise from the very beginning, and I do feel like I had some influence on it being successful, mostly because I led the digital marketing of the event from the very beginning, and I built the website, actually the very first website for the event from my dorm room when I was still in college, and I was studying computer science and website development. So that's how I got my start.
But isn't it true, though, Justin, that before you came along, they were billing it as a macrobiotic cruise and not getting as many people? And didn't you tell your dad to just say it's vegan, and then all of a sudden it exploded?
That was part of the growth, yeah. So the first few years, it was billed as a macrobiotic cruise. The first year or two, they even had Michio Kushi as a keynote speaker. And it was all the main macrobiotic teachers, of like Warren Kramer, Christina Perello, Denny Waxman, a bunch of others. And it slowly was moving in the direction of focusing more on plant-based. And, they got, early on, they got Neil Barnard and T. Colin Campbell and a few others that made it a little bit more accessible and interesting to a broader audience. And then eventually they sort of switched it to saying vegan macrobiotic. And eventually they kind of made the macrobiotic part a little bit less in the forefront. And the menu evolved over time. The chefs and the guest chefs who helped with both the food and the cooking classes evolved over time, as well as the introduction of more animal rights related content and other things to make it more of a inclusive event from a content standpoint. So yeah, it was a gradual thing, but there definitely was a point when it was sort of we kept putting we're making recommendations of the cruise team to fully pivot towards that vegan focus. And once they did, it did grow faster.
Well, macrobiotic, I'm not sure everybody knows what that is, Justin, because macrobiotic can be 100% plant-based, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. What was that like being raised that way?
Well, I mean, it's what I knew as a kid for the first 8 or 9 years of my life. My parents actually met, I think it was in the late 1960s, early 1970s. They met at a macrobiotic study house. It was kind of a bed and breakfast where people lived and studied macrobiotics and other modalities like yoga and meditation. And that was near Boston. And it was run by some students of Michio Kushi near the Kushi Institute. My mother had seen Kushi speak, and my father was working for Sandy Pukel actually in Miami. And Sandy recommended my father go up and study. So they kind of met there and got together and moved back to Florida, where they worked with Sandy for a while in Florida. But they later started the American Miso Company and went on and then had me. I was born when they were running the American Miso Company, which is in North Carolina, near where I live now. And so I was raised with the parents who were making miso, writing stories for all these publications like East West Journal and all these older macrobiotic and natural food publications, making miso in a factory and importing Japanese products and selling them across the country. I think my parents wrote over 100 articles about different macrobiotic foods and recipes. They wrote 5 cookbooks. And so through my childhood, they were doing cookbook development. They were testing recipes in our home constantly. And so there was a lot of healthy food, and that's all I knew. I think the first time I had sugar, I was 8 or 9 years old, and I think I threw up. I think the first time I had meat was probably a few years after that.
That is so cool. So you kind of were born to hippie parents, huh?
Yeah, they were hippies, but they were also into business. And my father was kind of, you could visualize like a hippie version of like the Fonz because he's Italian. So he had a motorcycle and he had like, he was muscular and everything from being a gymnast, but he also had like yoga clothes and was into the whole holistic movement.
That is cool. Are there any more Bellamy's at home, or were you an only child?
Yeah, I have a younger brother who is a photographer. He was the main photographer of the vegan cruise about half of the years. And now he's a professional photojournalist and also does short-term rental business here in Western North Carolina. And then I have an older half brother who's actually a chef, and he lives near Miami.
That is so cool. So you were sort of born with an entrepreneurial spirit.
Definitely was. My parents, through most of my childhood, my parents worked for a Japanese natural food company, and they were kind of involved in helping them sell their products all over the world, kind of marketing and import-export work. And actually, that's when that business started struggling after the dot-com crash in 99, 2000. They got laid off from that business, and then shortly after that, they got started with the cruise. They had worked with Sandy in a variety of different ways over the years, like running his health food store in Florida for a while. And the miso business, actually, Sandy was a partner in that business at the beginning as well. So they got back together with him and started the cruise in 2003.
That's sort of like Sandy's your godfather.
Yeah, in some ways he is. And when I was young, we'd see him. He has 4 or 5 kids himself, so we'd see him. They're similar ages to me. So yeah, definitely.
That is so cool. Are your parents still vegan and or macrobiotic today?
They're not entirely plant-based right now, but they're very close. I mean, they've been eating a super healthy diet my whole life, but they eat a little bit of fish, a little bit of eggs.
Well, tell them they have a granddaughter now, so they have to be healthy. They're going to have to give up the last bit of animal products.
Yeah, my wife and I are vegan. She's a little more strict than me, but we don't eat anything. We don't bring anything into the house that's not plant-based.
That's nice. So when I met you the first time you were on the cruise?
I think we actually met like in passing. The first time you came on the cruise, I was there helping with like sponsorships, and I had to put the sponsor logos in front of where you were teaching cooking classes and stuff like that. But then we didn't really get to know each other until about 2 years ago when we met in Florida before the cruise, the weekend before at the holistic holiday. At the Balance for Life retreat.
Right, because I had no idea what you did for a living, and I know that I was taking advice from my friend and psychologist Doug Lyle. He goes, I can't answer this question. You need to get a business consultant. And it's like, how do you find a business consultant? Well, you get in a cab, and then you find out that the guy in the cab, that's what he does for a living. So yeah. you are very. I just can't believe somebody as young as you are so knowledgeable on business in general. Did you study business in college or?
Well, I started. So I don't want to take up too much time on this story, but when I was real young, my parents were working for this macrobiotic company in Japan, and we had a middle class income, but we didn't have like an excess amount of money. So anytime I wanted something that was more than they could afford, they encouraged me to figure out ways to make my own money, even when I was 8 or 9 years old. So I came up with a business idea with a friend of mine to sell mistletoe in the street during Christmas. And I made a lot of money. I made a couple $100s in a few weeks when I was 8 or 9. And that was enough to buy what I really wanted, which was a go-kart. And that kind of kicked me off. They were also always even though when they were working for companies, they had a very entrepreneurial lifestyle because they would work out of their home, or they were the only employees in the US for this Japanese company for about 15 years. And they got to have a lot of control over what they did. And they were in marketing and product packaging and things like that. So there was always things going on, decisions being made around the house about business. They also started the American Miso Company and started a seitan business when I was a kid that didn't do very well. That's when they went back to work for that Japanese company. But I kept building on my own business and sales things all through middle school and high school. I won multiple sales competitions in middle school and high school, and learned a little bit about sales and customer service. And then I got into website development and building websites and designing things in like newsletters and graphics. And when I was in college, I was studying computer science and a minor in business, but I was more interested in computers and websites. So when my father and Sandy decided to start the cruise in 2003, I said, hey, I can build the website, and I charged them to build the website as a side job when I was still in college.
You charged your own father?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that it was a business, and it was my way of making money. Actually, when I was in high school, I did a newsletter for a company called ClearSpring, which is a macrobiotic company out of UK. I did their printed newsletter. I designed it, and I also did the yearbook in my high school, so I learned how to do design. I actually did the website. I got paid to do the website for the Japanese company they work for. It was called Mitoku. It's a macrobiotic brand. And I did the website for that and actually made a pretty good income when I was in high school and college building website stuff. So when my parents got laid off from Mitoku and started the cruise, I said, I can do the website. So I did the website. When the website was done and they were starting to market it, they mostly were marketing it through mailing brochures to people. They had partnership with Kushi and a few others. And I said, well, let's try Google advertising. Let's try email marketing. And so I taught myself how to do Google ads and taught myself how to do email. And then I would do them for free for a few months. And then I'd say, hey, this is working. I think it's worth a couple $100s a month for me to focus on this part of your business. But I slowly built myself a side business helping them with the cruise. And then when I graduated from college, I started doing that kind of work for other people and slowly building up clientele as a freelancer in marketing. And then a few years later, probably about 3 years later, after trying that for a while, I started my own agency. It's called the JB Media Group. And we do marketing. We still do marketing for the cruise. We still do all the marketing for the cruise. But we also do about 25 to 30 other clients. And the cruise is like our third or fourth largest account. We do lots of other businesses as well. And we also started an online training business, which we're partnering with. We can talk more about that, to teach a class that starts on June 1st. And of course, the pandemic is affecting all of my businesses. So we're going to launch a virtual event for the cruise this summer as well, which you're also involved with. So
would you like to talk about the class first or the virtual cruise first?
I don't care. Maybe we can spend a little more time talking about how the cruise business grew and what all we did to help it happen, and then talk a little bit more about those other things later.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so great to, it must feel so good to be so young and to just, when you have the ability to make money for yourself, you don't have to become an old lady like me and then worry like, oh my God, I'm 60 and I don't have any money.
Well, it's been challenging. I mean, there's been lots of points in my business career where there wasn't enough coming in to cover everything, and I've had to borrow money. And my business was in a lot of debt a couple of years ago. We're starting to inch our way out of it, but it hasn't all been just success. It's been a grind. I've worked some really, really long hours. Still work long hours now. I have 3 different companies that I run together, sort of integrated with 17 employees. So it's a lot of work. It's tiring and taxing, but I enjoy a lot of what I do. So that's good. And I get to work for really great companies, and we're a B Corp, which means that we're certified, that we're focused on the right things as far as the environment, as far as our people, as far as sustainability, which is a difficult certification to get. It takes about a year of hard work to get it. So I want, that's important to me, that we're, not just a business, but a business for good. Yeah, but as far as the cruise, so as I said, the first year the cruise had about 400 people. It was mostly macrobiotic, and I was not on board the first year. I was still in college and we're working on my senior year of school and just couldn't get away. Also, my father it was his first time being on a cruise ship, his first time running the back end of a big event, and he was overwhelmed and didn't want family distracting him. So he went by himself and Sandy, and his family went, and it was a success. And every year it grew because people would sign up to come again, and then we'd sell more to new people. But as it grew, I was trying new things. I was trying email marketing for the first time. I was trying Google ads. I was doing search engine optimization to try to get the cruise website to show up when people are looking for healthy vacations or vegan travel, things like that. I was learning as I was doing to try to help my father and his business while also trying to keep myself employed. So sort of multiple goals. And also I was simultaneously trying to start my first company, which ended up being a failure, but it was a learning process along the way. So as that grew, over time, we tried different things. We would try partnership programs. Like we would send a bunch of flyers to a yoga studio or a co-op and try to get them to distribute them and try to track that. And that wasn't working very well. So around 2009, I convinced them to start doing social media. So we launched Facebook and Twitter, and I managed those. That was my first professional social media work. And that's a big part of what we do in my companies. But I did it myself, and I just figured it out as I went. And I started seeing results. I started seeing people, engaging on social media about the cruise. And a year later, maybe a year and a half later, I said, hey, we need to try something different we haven't done before. We need to try to invite an influencer. At the time, we just called him like a social media VIP to come and promote the cruise, and just we need to give them a free cruise and see what happens. See if they can get enough people to make it worthwhile. So I made a list of people, and I reached out to Robert Cheek. I reached out cold. I'd never met him before. He didn't know idea who I was. I wrote him an email. I invited him to come on the cruise, basically as a hype man, so to speak, just like help promote a cruise to your audience. I chose Robert to reach out to because he had almost like the maximum number of Facebook friends you can have. I saw that he had a vegan bodybuilding group that was growing on Facebook. And I saw that he, not only did he have a lot of friends on Facebook, like 4,000 something, which was a lot for that time, because I had only a couple hundred at that time. A lot of people had only a couple hundred or less. He was almost like maxed out. And every time he talked about anything, people were engaging with him. I could tell that people, a lot of respect for him, and that he was engaging in responding. And so there was conversations happening every time he talked about anything. And he was promoting stuff all the time. He was involved in promoting his own books, his products, vegan protein powders and things like that at the time. So I got him on board, and he agreed, and he did a great job. He did everything we asked. He did all sorts of promotions, campaigns, and I got about 20 or 30 people for the 2011 cruise, which is sort of when it started. I mean, that was sort of when it started to pick back up after the last recession. And one thing that happened when I met him on board for the first time after other than phone calls. And actually, I think you've talked to him about this. He met his wife that same day that he and I met. But there was a moment, the first night of the cruise, when I noticed there was more people on the dance floor. There was more young vegans at the event. And that was because of Robert. And I knew it, but I didn't know how to prove it. And Robert only had about 20 people who signed up who mentioned him. And that 20 people's, out of about 1,000 is not that big of a deal. But I started walking around and talking to people, and I said, hey, how did you hear about the cruise? And they were like, well, I heard about it from my friend, and I brought my mom, and I brought my sister, and I would track it back, and I kept tracking people back to Robert. I'd say, how did you hear about it? And like, oh, I saw it from my friend Karen, or my friend Karen's Robert's wife, but Karen came because of her friend Tracy, and Tracy heard about it from Robert. So it was like all these people who was like 2 degrees of separation from Robert. So he got credit for 20 people, but he probably brought 100 people. And it was 100 younger, more energetic people or multi-generational families. And I got super excited. I actually got goosebumps when I found out. Started talking to a bunch of people, getting all these connections. And I walked over to Sandy and David and my father. And I was like, all these people, they're all connected to Robert. Like half of these people in this dance party right now are connected to Robert, even though only 20 of them listed him on their sign up. So that was enough for them to be like, okay, let's grow this. Let's do more. Let's find 5 Roberts or 10 Roberts and grow it. So that first year, Robert directly resulted in about $30,000 or $40,000 in bookings for the cruise, but it was all that extra energy that he brought. And so I was able to recruit other people like Matt Frazier, the No Meat Athlete, and Sivan Pardo from Israel, who is the vegan woman who's not doing online marketing anymore, but she had a big audience and she brought a bunch of people and more. And I just had, within a few years, I had 6 or 7 of these people, individuals. And then I started getting groups. I started getting people, Forks Over Knives got involved. And when they did an email, of course, we had tons of interest. And they had the same sort of program set up as those other individuals. And now that those individuals and all their promotions now drive the majority of the new signups for the cruise.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The cruise
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the cruise is a one-of-a-kind experiment. It's sort of like a floating university.
Yeah, that's the holistic holiday at sea is the voyage to well-being is what was a tagline for all these years, and that they've been trying. That's what they're going for is maximum education, maximum fun, and then unique travel experiences alongside all that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you think the virus is going to affect the future sailings?
I don't know, but I would assume at least somewhat. Yeah, I mean, we're not sure yet. They're still talking to the cruise line about how they're not even cruises aren't even sailing yet. So when they start sailing, they'll have restrictions, and over time those restrictions will change, and those restrictions may affect how close people can sit together, how many people can be on a ship, um, safety for older folks on board. So yeah, we don't know yet, but it depends on when treatments and vaccines and other things get developed. But they're still planning on sailing in March of 2021, and they're still selling tickets and people are signing up. But we're also doing a virtual event in July that I think is going to be really fun and exciting as well.
Right. Well, Kathy's watching live says, I wonder when we'll ever be able to feel comfortable on a cruise. And I bet if anybody could figure it out, Justin, it's you. Because when I talked to you, what I really liked is you talked about how you had failed a certain amount of times in your business. And you just said it like, my shirt is blue, like it wasn't a big deal. And I think that's one of the reasons you're probably so successful is you take failure in stride and you just move on. And like with what I work with people that on weight loss, it's like, they go off plan one time and it's like, well, I failed, I give up. You don't give up if you have a misstep in your business. You just like, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. And that's why I think even if the cruise couldn't happen again, and I hope it will, I bet you will be able to figure something else out that's just as successful and unique and is great.
Yeah, I already have a few ideas. We'll approach those at the time if it's necessary. I hope that the cruise happens. I've been hoping that they would get 2 or 3 cruises going for a while. They've been trying. It's been very hard to find other avenues for the cruise to other cruise lines that are as easy to work with as the one they work with. And they want to continue doing more cruises with the cruise line that they work with now, which is MSC. They've been great to work with over the last about 8 or 9 years. So that's up to the Sandy and David and others involved in the decision making. I'm just a marketing guy, but I do have some ideas for ways they can do more. And the online event is one of them. And it was mostly an idea that I came up with about 3 or 4 months ago, and we had a lot of conversations to come up with the format and talk about how it would work. And so we're just launching that next week. We sent out a save the date email today, actually.
Esther says, have they always used the same company for
There's
cruising?
only been 2. The first 5 to 7 years it was Costa, and they were on the Costa Magica, Costa Atlantica, Costa I think Fortuna, several different ships. As the event got larger, it grew into bigger ships because they had a bigger group. They could work with a larger boat. And then at one point they move over to the MSC. And since they're moving over to MSC, they've been on the similar class of ship, size of ship. It's about a 4,400 passenger ship. And the cruise is about half the boat. So it's about 2,100 people now. It's been the same size for a while because it's very logistically difficult to go from half the ship to the full ship. There's lots of reasons why it's hard and not been worth the extra investment and energy and risk. It's a big risk to try to do the whole boat.
I think one of the things that would help them if they'd ever consider it is maybe going somewhere other than the Caribbean one year, because, as a speaker, it doesn't matter. You don't get off the boat. But if you're a tourist, if you like to go different places, like maybe Alaska,
Yeah, they've tried very hard and they've gotten close. They've gotten really close to some deals, but it's just, I don't want to go into too much detail about it, but this has not been my decision or my negotiations to make. But they've definitely tried every single year for the last 10 years to figure out how to do it. And it's been too much of a risk or just a dead end.
Yeah. So what is this virtual cruise? Will Captain Stubing be there?
I don't think so. So it's going to be a mixture of what you would find in like a virtual summit, but with some flair from the cruise. So the cruise, what's cool about the cruise is we have great fitness program. We have which includes 4 or 5 different modalities of fitness and movement and also mindfulness and yoga, meditation. So we'll have all those elements. We'll have various fitness classes with pre-recorded and live. We'll have instructors like Robert Cheek and Matt Fraser involved in that, but also we're going to recruit a whole bunch more fitness instructors and yoga and mindfulness instructors to do that. We'll have a meal plan, which will kind of replicate what you get as far as the meals on board. Of course, you'll have to prepare them at home, but we'll have some cooking demonstrations. I think we're going to work with you on a couple of cooking type demonstrations and weight loss programming. And then we'll have a bunch of really high profile MDs. We already have Caldwell Esselstyn, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, Dr. Neil Barnard, Dr. Michael Greger, Michael Clapper, Joel Kahn, and a bunch more. We'll have new updated interviews with them, which will be available to watch. And then toward the end of the week, we'll have live Q&A sessions with them, with most of them, not everyone, but most of them. And those will be relevant to what they talked about in their interview. In some cases, they'll be relevant to their newest book or their recommendations for how to take care of yourself at home. So it's all about lifestyle, motivation, habit change, and health. Fully embracing the healthiest version of a plant-based diet and all the benefits of that. It's not going to be a bunch of 101 why plant-based content, because everyone's seen that. You can find that all over the place. We're going to try to get updated content from people and really focus on people's at-home routines, habits, and what they want to do, what the things that they want to be able to do on a regular basis. We want to give them that jump start to be able to give them, a week-long staycation, so to speak. So if we're going to encourage people, if they can, to take some of the days off during the event and consider it a vacation, especially if they don't feel like they can take one right now because of the pandemic, that they should maybe think about taking a couple of days off. A large portion of our audience is retired, but a lot of them aren't. So it'll be a type of event where you can get a lot out of it if you're still working, because we'll have 2 weekend days plus, nights during the week you can catch up on the content. But if you're off, you'll be able to get fully involved. You'll be able to fully do the meal planning and fully do the fitness part. And we have some new speakers. We're still lining up a lot of speakers right now. I still have tons of speaker emails to send out, but I've already got, I'm negotiating with a few brand new ones that have never been on board before. I don't want to announce them until they give me a full yes. But we definitely have a yes from John from iThrive and from Dr. Kim Williams, who is I think he's the past president of the American Board of Psychology.
American College of Cardiology.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, he's an exciting addition to the lineup, and we'll have at least 5 more. There's still some that you're friends with who haven't even emailed yet.
Oh wow!
I'm definitely going to send an email to Dr. Frank Sabatino tonight and invite him and a few others.
Beverly says, "What is the cost of the virtual cruise?" Nothing.
Well, there's going to be an entirely free component of it, which will be all the keynote lectures and all the motivational lectures, about 25 to 30 lectures for free. And then there'll be 2 premium programs. The fitness program with the fitness and meal planning program it'll start out at $89, and it'll go up over several price points. It'll end at about $120. And then there'll be a all access program we're calling it Total Health VIP experience. And it'll start at about $150 and go up to about $250 depending on when you buy in to it. That'll include all the live contents and lifetime access. We're going to have a DVD set of all the keynote lectures. We're going to give people our 10 favorite lectures from the last 2 cruises, including one of your talks from the cruise. And we're going to give a book where people can follow along on the lectures. So the book and the DVDs will come out afterwards, and people get them to watch. And you can watch it online for a whole year if you buy into those 2 programs. So if you do the free, it's just 7 days. You have 7 days. You can watch as much as you can. You can engage in the online event. But if you want the bonus materials, it's going to be a little bit money. We feel like it's a very affordable price. And there's a lot going into it. I have 7 team members working on it. It's our largest project. We're going to put between 500 and 1,000 hours of work into producing and marketing it. And there's a lot that goes into it. We have to buy the software to run it. And there's a lot of things that go into putting on something like this. So there are some costs. And
you don't have to convince me. I've been doing summits. People just think, oh no, they just sit there and it just magically happens. So how much is it for Chef AJ to come to their house and live with them for a week to teach them how to eat?
That's up to you.
Just kidding. Some people would probably like that. You know what I was thinking? You know how with Zoom you can get like a virtual background, like of the Golden Gate Bridge? Maybe you
Yeah,
could give us like the Caribbean, so
I
that'll
actually thought about that. I'm planning on doing that. One thing that we talked about doing is the cruise is known for its talent show. So we're probably going to have a virtual talent show. I haven't emailed her yet, but I'm going to invite Bridget Kosser, who's usually our MC for the talent show and the entertainment program, to host a virtual talent show. So we'll have curated 10 or so entertainers who are plant-based, musicians, comedians. Maybe you can do some comedy if you want. And we'll have probably like a short conversation with them and then play a video clip or something that's pre-recorded that's high quality of them performing. And if a few people want to do live sessions, that's fine. But most content is better over internet if it's been properly produced. So we'll do that. We might have like a live cooking demo and then a virtual dinner party where some of the speakers are just having a conversation over a meal. On the cruise, we have these big cooking, parties like the pizza party and the vegan ice cream parties. We might have some of those kind of things happening, but they'll be over Zoom. So there'll be like 5 or 10 speakers just chatting with each other, and everyone else can just join from home and have the community experience the best we can create through this interesting time we're in. There'll be a Facebook group for the people in the program who can then interact. We might create some like conversations and panels that happen on Facebook during the event. People can ask questions. I'm working with people like Matt Fraser has a new product called 80/20 Plants, which is basically a nutrition program, a nutrition chat program. So we might have them doing some chat programming in Facebook, answering people's questions, and trying to get everyone involved in ways that align with what they're doing at home with their businesses.
You want to talk about that wonderful event you produced in Florida in May of last year? That was really neat. Was that your idea?
Yeah, that was my idea. In partnership with Robert Cheek and Balance for Life. Me and Robert produced with a significant amount of support from the owner of Balance for Life. He funded the event. It was a vegan, plant-based leadership retreat. And we had about 20 people there. You were there. Robert Cheek was there. Robbie Barbaro. We had Gray, a plant-based dripping. We had Mike the Vegan, Frank Sabatino. We had a couple people from the NHA board and executive director Mark Uberman, and a few others. I'm sure I'm forgetting some really important people that were there as well. Chris Work. That's where I met Chris Work, who I know you've worked with a few times, from Chris Beat Cancer. He's going to be involved in the virtual cruise as well. So yeah, it was the purpose of the event was as an entrepreneur, I've been a part of different peer support groups. They're called one's called Vistage, one's called TAB, which stands for the Alternative Board. This is where people get together and support each other every month. And I've grown a lot as a business person and a leader and a manager through those experiences. And so I wanted to create that for the plant-based movement, but I also wanted to have a place where people with a lot of knowledge could have deep conversations about the future of the movement and the balance between health and mass products like, Beyond Meat, which some people consider not very healthy, but it's also helping, a lot less animals be killed. And it's an important part of the movement. So that was those deeper conversations behind closed doors where people could have, debates. There was definitely some very passionate debates happening. But I also wanted to teach people. So we had workshops and seminars on marketing, on online courses, on different topics that would help each people basically lean on each other's strengths. So we have people in the group who are like great at summits and people who are great at producing concerts or live events or selling books. Like Robert Cheek's one of the top independent self-published authors in the country, but he's not as good at the website like classes and e-commerce stuff. He's good at e-commerce for his products and his books, but maybe not for other things. And so everyone was there to share what they're good at and help lift each other's weaknesses up. And I thought it was a pretty good event. What did you think about it, AJ?
I thought it was great. I met so many new people there, that like Mike the Vegan, who I hadn't heard of. So yeah, I thought it was wonderful.
Thanks. Yeah, I'd like to be able to do it again. I got to find another venue where I could do it again. I'd really like the Stanford Inn out in California, so maybe we could do it out there sometime.
Oh, that would be amazing. Well, you have your fingers in a lot of pies. What's your favorite flavor?
Blueberry.
No, but I mean, you wear so many hats in your business.
Yeah, it's true. I like the partnerships part the best. I've written a little ebook about partnerships, and I've run partnership marketing for a lot of different businesses, including my own business and some of my clients, like the cruise. I like that, like creating value. So when someone like Forks Over Knives promotes the cruise, it gives their audience something interesting, and it gives them like a discount or a special promotion, and it drives massive awareness and sales for the cruise. And all that took is the right emails and the right conversations to make it happen. There was no, well, there's a little bit of commission exchange, but the cruise didn't have to pay upfront for that promotion. And that the energy that generates when businesses work together that way just is so powerful. So that is what I like the best of what I do. It's also about strategy and relationships, which I like working in both those areas. So like finding opportunities, like, inviting certain people to that retreat. And now I'm working with them in other ways, like working with you and working with Chris on the promotion of the event, and having Robert back as the MC of our event, being able to hire him to do that. That's all comes out of those kind of relationship building experiences.
Gina wants to know if it's okay to ask how old you are, because you are you're like barely 30, right?
I'm 37.
Oh, well,
It's all the vegan food.
I was going to say, because one of the things we get a lot of comments on the guests on this show is that your skin is so nice.
Thanks. It's the lighting.
Yeah, I know it's true. Those ring lights really do make a difference, don't they? Don't they? So let's talk about the class, because I'm so excited about that, because the opportunity to get to teach what I know because you were already teaching the business classes. And then now, and when you asked me and my husband to actually teach a module, that was very exciting, because we love doing that, because I get a lot of people coming to me for consults. And when I get on the phone with them, I find out it's not even about weight loss. It's about how to be successful working for yourself and working, especially in the plant-based world. And at this uncertain time, so many people are looking for other avenues of income and ways. A lot of people who actually have jobs, but now that they've been home for so long, they're like, you know what? I really like staying at home. I got to find a job that'll keep me here.
Yeah, that's why we launched this new program. And I'll tell you just a brief background on my training company first, because this new program that we're doing together is the second time we've run this course. The original name of the course was Create Your Own DIY Online Class or Online Course. And this is a program of my business partner, Sarah, her name's Sarah Benoit. And we've been working together since the very beginning of my agency in 2011. When we joined forces after being competitors for 5 or 6 years, because I really respected her. We had taught workshops, and both of us had taught competing workshops in town, but we both attended each other's content, and we thought we were like the two of the best teachers in this area in Western North Carolina about marketing and social media. So when I taught my workshop, I invited her, gave her a seat in my workshop. And then later, when I was starting my business, I invited her to lunch and invited her to join my company. And she still had her own business. So I said, you can join part-time and you can keep your business going. And this is what she did originally. Now she works with us full-time. But she also keeps some of her stuff going on the side as well. But she started out as my director of training, and we did lots of workshops as part of my agency. And then over time, we decided to start our own school. We called the JB Media Institute. And at first we were doing classroom classes with 10 to 25 people, 8-week courses. We charge like $2,000 a person, basically teaching them how to be internet marketing experts, or at least advanced beginners. And that worked pretty well for a few years. Then we put it online. Now we had an online school, was about $1,000 for a couple of years. And now with what's going on now, we've been pivoting to adapt to provide what's most relevant. So we provided a series of free webinars on how to work from home, how to be more interactive with your office within online experiences like this, and other things like that. And we did some free workshops on how to teach online, basics of how to teach online. And then we quickly launched, about a month ago, we launched a course that you're going to help with in a couple of weeks. And this is the course that you mentioned. It's called, we're calling it Change Your Game, Create Your Own DIY Online Course. So the focus of it was about how to create courses, how to turn what you do into online classes. So we're going to teach about how to organize your content, how to record it, how to get your class curriculum in place, what about the platforms and technology for both the learning online, as well as capturing the video and other types of content that you might need, depending on what kind of class you want to teach. But then partnering with you, AJ, you're going to add some additional content about how you got your business going, what you do, how you approach live streaming, how you approach your personal brand and building your audience. And then your husband's going to teach about self-publishing 101, and publishing, your own books or ebooks can be a big part of an online business. It can be a launching pad. So that'll be valuable content. And we're also going to add a new class where all of us just get on a live, these classes are all live. They're 2 hours long over 4 weeks. So there's actually going to be 3 classes each week for 4 weeks. So it's a lot of content. It'll all be live over Zoom, mostly with one instructor and someone else supporting them, with the Q&A, the chat part. And then there'll be toward the end, there'll be one where we're all on at the same time, and maybe even have some of your past students come on and talk about how they've been successful. So some success stories and just Q&A, just about business, about online courses, about online businesses and things like that. So it's mostly about creating an online course, but it also has special content from you and Charles, and then that interactive experience toward the end with the Q&A with all 4 of us.
Well, if I wasn't in the class, I would want to take the class because it sounds great. And I hope you guys will check it out and you just click on the link. Honestly, I never was on your website until just 2 minutes ago when somebody asked how they can find out about you. And you have a great website, and you do offer free webinars. I just noticed you have one coming up.
We've been offering for about 3 years. We've been offering free webinars every the first Wednesday of every month. We call it the Digital Drop-In. And you can find Digital Drop-In on our website, jbmediagroupllc.com. And they're always relevant to what's going on. Like last month, we just did an adaptation strategy for marketing, and I taught about e-commerce. I taught about local marketing, because a lot of people are gonna have to market more to locals because of the travel restrictions as we come out of the pandemic or start to move out of the restrictions. I talked about that. I talked about efficiency. I'm running 3 companies. We're all busy. I'm working crazy hours right now. So efficiency, artificial intelligence tools that we're using for content capture, for transcription, and for content marketing. So I talked about artificial intelligence in our last webinar. And then this next one is about content, like 5 tips for content strategy. We're going to have the summer focus, like the summer of strategy, where people are like focusing on updating their strategy for the new reality that we're living in. So we're going to have, we're going to give everyone who comes to the webinar on June 3rd, a free month in our online program, which is called the Content Strategy Roadmap. That's our content strategy course that sort of dovetails with the course you're helping with too. So that's about a $69 course. So it's a $69 bonus if you just show up for that webinar on June 3rd, where we're just going to talk about the 5 steps of creating your own content strategy for your business, whether it's a business that it's retail, online, business to business, doesn't matter. The strategies apply to all 3 categories of businesses. But our course together is more focused on online business. It's not an online business overview course. It is. I want to make sure people recognize that it's about creating a course, but it also touches on other things. But it's really, if you got to be, I think, in the mindset of either creating a course or creating a YouTube channel, creating some sort of video or presentation content and monetizing it or using it to build your business. Those are the type of people who should check it out.
I did post the link for the free webinar that you talked about, and Plant-Based Genie says, what time are these live classes?
Well, the ones that are the 4-week program we're doing together, which starts on June 1st. So it's Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Pacific, or that would be 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. That's the time of the 12 different sessions of our joint program. And if you can't watch one of them or a few of them live, we will record them. We will share them with you within 24 hours inside the online classroom, and you can watch and catch up. And you have access to that for forever. Those recordings, if you pay for the program.
Sorry.
Say again, AJ?
No, I was going to say, Kat says, I'm very interested, but not that good with technology, specifically editing video content, also social media limited. I've never edited anything in my life, and I have a pretty good YouTube channel.
Yeah, so that's one of the goals of the program, is to take people's concerns and fears down by showing them what you can do DIY. That's why it's called DIY. You're not a technical person. My business partner is not a technical person by nature. She's self-taught, and she's a little bit older than me, a couple years older than me. But she was a biblical literature major and did, basically worked in different writing jobs before starting her business in 2003 or 4, I think, originally. But yeah, so you are very successful online, with your business, and you're not that technical of a person.
I'm one of the least technical. Next to John Pierre, I'm probably the least technical person. Yeah.
So that's part of it. It's like, you're going to talk about what you do and how you do it. And you've had some people help with your tech. Of course, your husband helps. But he's not even an advanced technologist. He's just a really adept, self-learned one. Right. I have a computer science degree, but I don't touch the technology stuff anymore. But yeah, you don't have to be good at video editing to be a YouTube, to build a YouTube business. You have to have something you're passionate about. You have to be authentic. You want to talk briefly about what you're going to share in your first course, the first session of the course?
Absolutely. So I'm passionate. I'm just writing down something, answering a question for Monica on the price of the course. I'm going to talk about how you can be successful by being who you are and doing what you love and just teaching what you know. And I have taught one business course with my husband last year, where people actually came to our house for a week, and we helped a lot of people become successful in plant-based businesses. And it's so fun because we couldn't have kids. And when you see somebody become successful in business, you get that same kind of parental pride. But to get people to come to where we live for a week, we had to charge a lot. And so for like 1/20th of what we charge for a business course, they can be taking this wonderful class online.
Yeah. And it's going to have a total of 24 hours of content. Some of it will be very interactive. Some of the sessions will have breakout groups where you go and do interactive experiences. A lot of them will just be webinar style, where you, Charles, or Sarah, my business partner, will be teaching for an hour, hour and a half, and then there'll be Q&A and discussion happening at the end. And it's a structured program, so it's very much designed to help you from the very beginning through, getting ready to launch your program, your online videos, or your courses, and that's the focus of it. So yeah, and the price is, for those who are asking, it's $297, and the last chance to register is noon Pacific on the last Friday of May. But we're going to have a free Q&A webinar next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time, where my business partner is going to run through the curriculum, and you're going to be on there just to answer questions with me. Well, the three of us will be on there just to chat, but my business partner will be going through an overview and show some of the sort of structure of the program and answer questions that anyone might have about it in more detail. We've already have over 200 people signed up for that, and you have the link in the description of the video for that as well, so you can join that. And once that's done, we'll also put that recording up on the page, and I think AJ is going to send out one more email about with the link to the recording of the free webinar and a final reminder about registering. We have about 10 people signed up so far, and we're hoping to get to between 50 and 100 students.
So I just posted the link to the Q&A if they want to learn more about the course. Hira says, I would like to take the course. Count me in, AJ. I'm a big fan of yours here in Sacramento. Thank you. You've been my virtual guru. I quote you a lot in my presentations. Ellen says, awesome. Great price, great value. And Victoria says, what about if you're not comfortable making videos? There's so many ways to deliver content other than video. Some people do podcasts, which is your voice. Some people do blogs, which is your words. You don't have to do videos. I just do them because I'm lazy, and it's a lot easier than typing.
Yeah, online courses usually have to have some form of audio, but it can definitely be a PowerPoint presentation. Like most of our courses that we've taught, we've done all of our, for years, we've done, 6 figures per year in training online, have been mostly PowerPoints. And what we'll do is we'll go into a recording booth, and we'll just record each slide one at a time. and just record into a simple software. It's as easy as iMovie to do. You just record, you hit record, you speak the slide as if you were in a room for a workshop, and then you stop the recording and you go to the next slide and you record each slide. So then you can easily edit the slides in a simple, super simple program and export it to a video, and that video becomes a course or one module of the course. So we have like the course that we're giving away in June is 20 videos, but they're mostly PowerPoints. They're PowerPoint presentations. We use Google Slides, which is super easy. It's even easier than PowerPoint to build your slides. Put your slides together, record your presentations. I mean, you can keep them short. People actually love micro learning. In online learning, the best type of learning is really 3 to 10 minutes per video. So people can do what's called snackable learning. So when they're trying to do a whole course, it might be a bunch of short videos about specific things. We also can show you, we'll talk about how to like record what you're doing on the screen when you're talking, so you can show how to do things. A lot of our courses teach people how to do marketing. So we're teaching them how to do Facebook ads, teaching them how to do Google ads, and we're showing it as we talk. We just like walk through something online, and you can't see our face. You can see the screen and the mouse, and you can see what we're doing. We're talking about it. So yeah, I'm not great on video. I'm not good at, I'm dyslexic. I can't memorize a script. I can't read as fast as I speak. So I can't do what we can be considered really good scripted content, but I know what I'm talking about, so I can come off the top. Pretty much once I have a PowerPoint, I can just do it. That's me. Some people need a teleprompter, and they're much better with a teleprompter. There's simple, cheap teleprompters you can do with iPads.
Yeah. And actually, there's a program that you can even get. There's an app you can even get on your iPhone, and I can't think of the name right now, but I had it at one point when I was, it's just for practice. I used to use it. So
yeah,
I was too cheap to renew it for $60, but there is one, and it's pretty good. Kathy says, what part of your business do you like the best?
Like I said before, it's probably the partnerships piece. I like teaching, but I'm not as good a teacher as my business partner, Sarah. And I'm not as passionate about it as she is. She spends about an average of 20 hours a week teaching. She teaches at the community college. She teaches online. She teaches in our programs. And I teach a couple hours a month. So she's been doing that for 15 years, or a better part of 15 years. She's a master teacher. And so she's better than me at that. It's not my favorite part. I enjoy strategy. Like you can probably tell, like strategizing, thinking about things. I have an optimistic opportunity mindset in general, which has partially been developed through meditation, but partially just kind of the way I was raised and the way my brain works. So I like coming up with ideas, coming up with business concepts, even helping our clients with their businesses, like the actual business strategy side, because every business has strategy that goes to marketing. And I like being in the middle. My role in my company is director of strategy, which is both the marketing strategy, but also translating the business goals into concepts that can be marketed.
Wait, so you meditate?
My practice isn't very active right now, but for quite a few years, I was pretty consistent. I used, what's that app called on my phone? One of the real popular mindfulness apps. I can't think of what it's called right now.
Let me look, because I probably haven't and also don't use it. I know what you're talking about.
Headspace. It's called Headspace. Wow. I had Headspace for a couple of years, and I also did coherent breathing, which is like just a slow, consistent pace of breathing, which is for anxiety. I used to have, when I was getting started, I had a lot more anxiety about my business and whether or not it was going to totally blow up in my face. Not so much anymore. Of course, I probably could right now with all that's going on, but I haven't felt hardly any anxiety about my business in the last couple of months. Because of all that, I guess partially because of all the work that I did over the years.
Well, some of us are busier than ever.
Yeah, we're busier than ever. We're not making as much money as we were before because we're busy figuring out what to do next and busy helping our clients. All of our clients are going through stuff too, but they need help. They need direct support. So there's a lot of work, and also figuring out the Family Leave Act, the CARES Act for the business financial support, as well as the HR side. That's been a lot of work, not all on me, on my leadership team, but I've been helping them as much as I can. Lots of financial stuff to get those PPP loans and whatnot approved.
Well, we ask every guest on every show what you eat in a day.
Well, me and my wife, especially now that we're home, we cook a lot of food here. We are members of a farm delivery service. It's similar to a CSA, but it's a little bit more mass farmed, but it's local and regional organic produce. So we get 2 or 3 of those boxes a week, and we cook from those. So an average day, like yesterday, we made some spaghetti sauce from like a couple different kinds of canned tomatoes, kale, mushrooms, and a lentil pasta from Trader Joe's. And that was our dinner last night. And I also had that for lunch with I made some fresh kale and cooked up a Beyond hot sausage in my air fryer and chopped it up and put it in the spaghetti. My breakfast this morning was a gluten-free cold cereal with soy milk, but sometimes I have hot cereal for breakfast. Sometimes I make potatoes for breakfast. For dinner, we do because right now it's just, we have a 4-month-old baby and I'm working long hours, so we're not making complicated meals, but a lot of pasta, lots of stir fries. We have a instant pot and a Black & Decker air fryer. We use those almost a couple times a week for sure. We make soups a lot from scratch with vegetable stock and lots of vegetables, sometimes rice. We cook white and brown rice pretty often. I like white rice a little bit better myself. I know it's not quite as healthy, but
no, me too. Charles likes brown, but I'd rather eat white. So usually we make brown, and I'll sneak in a little white in the rice cooker. So just not enough for him to notice.
Yeah. So it's a mix. I like, because I was raised by parents who were part of the macrobiotic movement. I'm really fond of Japanese food, so makes a lot of Japanese stir fries, and we don't really have time to make sushi at home, but that's one of the things we like to eat when we go out.
Beverly said, which cereal specifically did you have? What brand?
I don't know what the new one's called. My wife just bought a bunch of stuff at a grocery outlet this weekend, but often I'll do the Mesa Sunrise. I'm not sure if that's Lundberg or some other one of those kind of brands, but it's like a whole grain flake cereal. Nice. But I also do some of the other stuff too, like little chocolate puffs, and
that's hilarious.
I don't eat that stuff very often. I mostly like potatoes and hot cereals for breakfast.
Do you have time to exercise?
Before the pandemic, I was getting to the gym about 2 to 3 times a week, and lifting weights. Friends with like Robert Cheek and some of the other bodybuilders, and I like following some of their stuff. My wife's really knowledgeable about fitness too. But since the pandemic, it's been really hard. I'm obviously not going to the gym. North Carolina's in phase 2 of reopening, but gyms are still closed, and I wouldn't be going even if they were open. But so I've been working out at home, and but not only like once a week. So I'm pretty disappointed in my current fitness progress.
Oh, Debbie wants to know, do you have a pet? You have a doggie, I think.
Yeah, we have a dog. Her name is Cookie. She is half dachshund and half miniature pit bull. She's a lot of energy, and she's very athletic. And she's, I'm gonna go get her. I have to leave and get her in a few minutes, actually, from the doggy daycare. We've been keeping our doggy daycare, helping keep them in business by bringing her a couple times a week, because they're really struggling with what's going on.
Nice. Are you raising your kid plant-based, I assume?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
That's nice. So then in 37 years, she'll come on somebody else's show and talk about how she got started with her crazy vegan parents. Do you have time to even do anything like read a book or watch anything on Netflix?
Hardly, no. We had an all-staff meeting this morning, and the check-in was like, what you're watching on Netflix, and I haven't seen a full movie or very many episodes of anything in the last 3 months. I've been watching the Saturday Night Live at Home episodes on Hulu, which is fun. Those have been fun. I think they're creative. And then my wife's been watching a show called Baskets, which she's been really into, which has got Zach Galifianakis in it. Seems like a really funny show.
Never. It's called Baskets?
Yep.
And it's on what network?
I don't know. Probably Hulu, I would think. Or Amazon Prime. I'm not sure.
I don't have Hulu. I just got the new Scooby-Doo movie, though, that came out on it. Yeah, so big Scooby fan. So I just posted a link again, guys, if you want to just check out the class. And we also have, like Justin said, a free webinar next Tuesday, which is a Q&A, so you can ask questions to the instructors and see if this is right for you. But especially if you're at home and looking to work for yourself, this might be a fun opportunity to learn how to get started.
Yeah, that would be great. Hopefully we'll have a good number of students.
Yeah, absolutely. And so thanks for doing the virtual cruise. That sounds great. When it's time, we can do this again. We make sure everybody gets in on the free 7-day cruising at home virtual experience.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Justin. Really great talking to you.
Thank you for having me, AJ. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity.
It's my pleasure. And thanks all of you guys for watching. Please come back tomorrow at 11 a.m. when we have really the father of the plant-based movement, Dr. T. Colin Campbell. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks.